We're here.
I'm glad to see such a great turnout. I hope we get to add to it when we get up to the square and everything. So please make sure you stay hydrated. It's awful hot today. I hope we can hit the pause button and that cloud will stay right where it is for the time being. But anyway, our officers will be at the flank on both sides, okay? And I will be at your right front. And so if there should be anybody that's not behaving themselves, please let one of us know. There'll be a zero tolerance for that. We want this to be as successful as Tuesday was, okay, and as healthy. So, if you got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let us know. And we look forward to another successful event. And we're trying to get a hold of the mayor so we're not having to stand out here and bake. And,
he's up at the square.
Get this thing started, okay? So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm more than 6 foot from anybody. I'm taking my mask off. Brittany, what's up? Let me get out of everybody's shot here. Now I'll get back in because sorry, Corey. I tried to get out of the way. And there's Bob Scott. They were wanting you down there.
We got up.
Okay. And here we are at the other end of the street. Here's other people videoing it from this end. Oh, here we'll watch them pass interview. Come on, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. There's our That's okay. And so as you can see, it's Okay, and here's law enforcement bringing up the rear.
No justice! No peace! 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 No justice! No Black lives matter! 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 Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Black lives matter! 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 Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Black lives matter! 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 Say his name! George Floyd! What did he say? I can't breathe! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that one day our brothers and sisters will be judged by not the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream that in modern day society, we can acknowledge our white supremacy, our white privilege, and acknowledge the internalized racism that seeps through the bowels of this country. Justice for Trayvon Martin.
Justice for Trayvon!
Justice for Sandra Bland.
Justice for Sandra Bland!
Justice for Breonna Taylor.
Justice for Breonna Taylor!
And justice for George Floyd.
Justice for George Floyd!
And justice to the countless others who have been victims of police brutality and racism in America. Anyone else want to speak? Next. We have a speaker, apparently. Woo!
Okay, well, I just want to say
and give you.
How's everyone doing today? I'm here as a representative from the United Panther Movement. I live in North Carolina. I just want to say that we're all here today because of police brutality. One thing I will say is there is no collaboration with the oppressor. There is no dancing with them. There's no kneeling with them. They have no morality. So do not be tricked by their PR stuff. We're in this situation because this isn't a black issue, this isn't a white issue, this is a class issue. We are all working class people. These situations were created by capitalism. So the only thing to attack capitalism is with socialism and solidarity between all working class people.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm talking about. So I'll keep it short and sweet. No justice, no peace. Cops and Klan go hand in hand. All power to the people.
While they're between the speakers, I'll give you a quick pan around, see all who's here.
Hello, everybody. My name's Sarah. I'm from Atlanta. I moved up here about 8 years ago. I ventured through Atlanta often. As we all know, Atlanta is filled with POC, and we love it for that reason. Okay? On my way through Atlanta, we got on the MARTA to go to the Greyhound station. A guy on the on the train, holds his hands up to we're all getting off, and he says, I just started a job. I'm not trying to rob anybody. I just need some help paying to get on the train to my job and back home again. Because of the area that we live in, these are situations we don't come across a lot. It's just mostly people and opinions. Today there are a lot of children here and they are watching you. Children in their cars with people who don't agree with us are watching you. Smile at them. Let them know that the way they are raised is not their fault. When we got off the train, the guy was embarrassed. Nobody responded to him. Nobody. A little girl and her parents were walking ahead of my sister and I. And the little girl asked her mom, why don't we help? Her mom says, we don't talk to people like that. We don't talk to people like that.
Wow.
The first thing he did was hold his hands up and say he wasn't going to rob any of us. He just needed help. So if you take anything away from this, no matter how quiet it was in the back, no matter how small our group is, no matter how large and destructive it can be when it's angry, the point of this is for the future to have a chance to say, I was raised in a place that wasn't racist, that wasn't for creating the opportunities for people to move forward equally, to be heard, to be respected. And I want to thank you all for coming, for listening, and for supporting us. Thank you.
Again, for those just tuning in, this is the Black Lives Matters protest in Franklin, North Carolina. We're currently in between speakers.
We're working. All right, here. I don't know if I got my teacher voice. I haven't used it since March 13th. My name is John Bill. I'm a Macon County native. I've taught high school here for 25 years. I teach American history and philosophy. I want to thank, I'm not sure who all put this march together today, but I want to thank the organizers, because I know, say again? It took a whole community, I'm told. All right, so no individuals. Okay? So I'm going to give you a three-part history lesson and maybe preach a little bit. So part one of the history lesson. I've seen on social media all week, we don't need this movement here, we don't need this march here, because Macon County and Franklin don't have any problems with racism. I've seen that all week. I've seen that for 2 weeks. I've heard it all my life. So history lesson part one. Here's the name for you. Caleb Ridley. Caleb Ridley is born and raised on Cowee Mountain. He became one of the most prominent ministers in this country. Preached all throughout the Southeast. He's a good guy. Well educated at Mercer. But some darkness took a hold of Caleb Ridley's heart at some point in his life. I was doing research on the man. He comes back to Franklin late in his life, and he becomes the editor of the Franklin Press. And he's only editor of the Franklin Press for a couple months, and all of a sudden he disappears. And I'm wondering, okay, why is that? How come he's editor and all of a sudden he disappears? And you scroll through the microfilm, and 3 or 4 months later, well, there's the front page obit. Caleb Ridley dead. And I'm reading his obituary. All of his life's accomplishments, which are numerous. And then the last line in the obituary, Imperial Chaplain, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. In 1925, the #1 minister of the Ku Klux Klan of the United States was Caleb Ridley, a man from Franklin. That's history lesson number one.
Wow.
History lesson number two, 1898. An African-American man by the name of Mitchell Mosley comes into Macon County, comes into Franklin. He's lost. He does not know where he is. He goes into the Mundy House, which is on the other side of the Historical Society, what's now Integra Bank. He stumbles inside, looking for directions. 2 white women who were living in there, startled by Mitchell Mosley, and they filed charges for assault. He was taken to this jail over here. He was incarcerated, and if you know how ritualized lynching works, this is how it works. A black man is incarcerated, and then a notice appears in the local paper, and it says, it is expected he will be lynched. Of course, it's not really saying it's expected he's going to be lynched. It's a notification that a human being is going to be executed by an extra-legal mob. A mob descended upon that jail. Law enforcement officers were not present. They took the keys conveniently left on the desk. They took Mitchell Mosley down to the bridge next to the playground, and they hung him off that bridge. And that not being enough to satisfy their anger, not being enough to satisfy their bloodlust, they took his body and they boiled the flesh off of his body. And they took the skeleton and it hung in a prominent Franklin area physician's office until the 1950s.
Damn.
And you want to tell me Franklin doesn't have a historical issue with racism? Well, let's get to the current moment, which is tied to, say, 1909 and tied to the 1860s. It's that monument that's across the street. So let's talk about Macon County during the Civil War and the months leading right up to it. A prominent Franklin man by the name of David Seiler decided he wanted to run for state house. He's a descendant of the Seiler family who settled this town. And like many white men who were running for office in the South, there was a surefire path to victory. Everybody who's standing here today, regardless of which side of this issue you're on, you understand this dog whistle. It's clear. It's not a dog whistle anymore. It's a foghorn. It's a foghorn in 2020. It was a foghorn in 1858 when David Seiler ran for the state house. You got to elect good slaveholding men like David Seiler who know how to keep Negroes in their place, because let me tell you what's going to happen, says David Seiler, and white men who ran for office across the South. If you don't elect people like me, the slaves will rise up. They'll slit your throat in the middle of the night. You got to have law and order. You got to elect me. That was the con. That's the con of the planning class. That's the con that the planning class of the South foisted off on the white government. That's the con that the white ruling class, the planning class, foisted off on the yeoman farmers. And they bought into that. Enough people bought into that. And so when Fort Sumter happened, and as Lincoln put it, the war came, those poor whites who really had no economic interest whatsoever in maintaining the slaveocracy in the South got conned into that protest. They got conned into that war. They got conned into taking up arms against their brothers in the North. And that's all their argument is. All their argument is a horn blowing, because they don't have any ideas and they don't have any words. All they have rage. They don't even really know where that rage comes from. Just like the men who fought for the Confederacy really didn't know where that rage came from, because it was a con. And a lot of those good men died. So I understand we need to remember your fallen ancestor, but honoring your fallen ancestor with a symbol to hate, with a symbol to division, with a symbol to ongoing structural racism, that doesn't do anybody good. I see a lot of people holding up the sign. I see people holding up the sign and chanting the slogan, "All lives matter." Well, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to live in a country where all lives matter? Because if we really lived in a country where all lives matter, we wouldn't be out here today. If all lives matter, we would not be sitting here drinking lattes and occupying ourselves with whatever nonsense we occupy ourselves with, while our government is locking up little brown children on our border. All lives matter if Medicaid was not positioned by the reactionary forces in this country, by the reactionary forces in this state. If Medicaid was not positioned as some sort of handout to brown people, guess what? We'd have hundreds of thousands of more jobs in this state. We would have better health care here in Macon County. And that would be better health care for black people, for Hispanic people, and for good old Scotch-Irish people. If we lift up, last thing to say here, if we will lift up our African-American brothers and sisters, if we will lift up all people of color in this country, then guess who else that we're lifting up? We're lifting up every single life. So if you really believe that all lives matter, then you lift up your brothers and sisters of color.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, this is not a parking spot. I'll grab that. And there's The sheriff being interviewed by BPR Radio. And Corey Valancourt of the Smoky Mountain News. They're directing their speech at the people at the statue over here. Some people over here at the statue.
Bob Scott will say a few words. Thank you. Time to listen to the mayor!
I think I got a lot of competition out there right now. I just wanted to, on behalf of the town of Franklin, to welcome everybody, the locals and those of you from out of town. I'm just so delighted to see us all here in solidarity, that Black lives do matter. And what you're doing today is taking part in being an American, as have generations that came before you did. I have lived through the civil rights movement, the anti-war protests, segregation and desegregation, protests that tore down the Berlin Wall, Watts, Chicago, Orangeburg, and other protests which brought about social change. In America, standing united for a common goal is a right guaranteed under the First Amendment. It's a basic concept that formed the foundation of some of the biggest game-changing protests in America. Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence. Leonardo da Vinci, he said 500 years ago, fundamentally, this is the fundamental principle behind why it is necessary to gather as you have today. Many voices, regardless of race, creed, or religion, or political persuasion, bring about change. It's human nature to speak the truth with many voices to power. America was built on the backs of protesters. Early colonists demanded a fair say from those in power across the ocean in Britain. an uprising that helped lead the United States on the road to independence. Protests can divide people. They can raise emotions, cause anger, sometimes violence. But they also get people talking, a necessary issue, and issues being seriously addressed. We see here today those who believe in your cause, those who do not believe in your cause, holding out a hand, I get lost, y'all have to give me. So there are those who believe in your cause and those who do not have a clue. Progress is our goal, respect is our goal, building character and integrity is our goal, holding out a hand to all humanity is our goal today. Righting 200 plus years of systemic racism is our goal. Just as those before you brought about women's rights, integration, desegregation, LGBT rights, voting rights, abolishing Jim Crow laws, the list is endless. Protests have brought social change worldwide. So I just want to thank you for being you and for being here today. Thank you.
Guys, before we lose your attention, we have somebody going to lead us in prayer, and then you can go back out and keep camp.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jonathan Stepp, the pastor of All Saints Episcopal Church here in Franklin. All Saints has the blessing of being a racially integrated church because the Episcopal ministry in Macon County has been racially diverse for 130 years. Thank you. What we have learned in our experience of being a biracial worshiping community is that it is easy on a day-to-day basis to say kind words to neighbors as we pass each other in the grocery store or on the street. But the systemic problems of racism that underlie our culture and are at the roots of our history are much more difficult to overcome. And when people gather for worship together in a community on a weekly basis, we very quickly learn what a challenge racial relations are in our country as we attempt to live together in community and worship together. I say all that because I want to thank each and every one of you for the stand you have taken today. It is necessary. It is vital to the future and health and prosperity of our country. It is vital to our lives and the lives of our children and grandchildren. And I recognize that it is not easy, because we have found in the Episcopal Church that it has not been easy. But we have learned what I know you already know. It is worth it. It is the future. And so it's an honor for me to offer this prayer on behalf of all of us and on behalf of our country as we prepare to go our separate ways. Oh God, you have bound us together in a common life. Help us in the midst of our struggles for justice and truth to confirm to one another without hatred or bitterness, and to work together with mutual forbearance and respect. Grant, O God, that your holy and life-giving Spirit may so move every human heart, and especially the hearts of the people of this land, that barriers which divide us may crumble, suspicion disappear, and hatred cease, that our divisions being healed, we may live in justice and peace. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you. y'all can all hear me, but like this? Like this? Yeah. All right, can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right, this is I've been quiet about this long enough due to peer pressure and everything. And for those of y'all that don't know, I grew up in this town, born and raised, 20 years. I faced racism in high school and I never spoke about it. But ever since I started studying my ancestors and their ancestral journey, I have no choice but to speak about it because it's only right to my blood and my DNA. This also goes to the fact that, especially to the All Lives Matter group, there's more revolutionaries and protesters than MLK. And y'all shot him too. Also, if y'all haven't studied Malcolm X, I really need y'all to study him too. If y'all haven't studied Kathleen Cleaver, the female powerful woman of the Black Panther movement, I need y'all to study her too. I need y'all to study Fred Hampton as well. I need y'all to study Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, the co-founders of the Black Panther Party too. This country was built off the back of slaves and everybody needs to know that. Also, my mom is the first black principal in this county. She's a strong African-American woman, and everybody needs to know that behind every great black man or every man in general, there's also a strong woman.
see now.
Hold police accountable! Hold police accountable! End police brutality! I can do that too! No one is above the law! 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 No one is above the law!
Go home!
Okay, this is part 2 of the protest, Black Lives Matter in Franklin. What we have right now is the Black Lives Matter people are shouting at the people gathered around the statue, and occasionally the people at the statue will shout back.
Your wall, your racist statue's gotta fall. Your wall, your racist statue's gotta fall. You're black. Your wall, your racist statue's gotta fall. Your wall, your racist statue's gotta fall. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Okay, this is Bobby. My equipment's had time to cool down. I'm firing it back up again.
Every day, all lives matter.
Black Lives Matter.
That's cool.
By the police than black people.
They'll arrest you. They'll arrest you if you do so. Like everybody's good.
Yeah, but you're still alive. More white people.
Murder is murder.
Black people. Show will pay you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Please start dispersing this area.
Please make it home safely.
What's your plan?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up. They will be in Silva tomorrow. I forget exactly what time. I think Bridge Park.
The counter protesters have a permit?
Don't know. Didn't ask. All right, I'll be shutting down the live feed here in a couple of minutes as soon as I get back over to the camera. Thank you all for watching.